From AfterDark, World Headquarters, it's time for the morning report. Everybody got that coffee? Drag your ass out of bed and come on. I'll read to you for a few minutes. For Mr. and Ms. America. For all ships at sea. For all sods. Everywhere. This is your favorite correspondent. Ready for your morning report for a relatively mild Monday morning, December 6, 2021. Yes, we're well on our way into National Goof Off Month, but we're not going to participate in National Goof Off Month. We're going to get shit done. Let's continue with Michael Crichton's travels. Now, he's going to meet the London astrologers. And yesterday, he laid out his game plan about how he was trying to give no verbal or nonverbal communication just to see if they really have any psychic abilities. So that's the recap. So Michael Crichton, astrologers, psychics. I think he's looking for more psychics than anything else. Here we go. I was satisfied with this plan, but I knew it would be extremely difficult to carry it out in practice. Although it was my intention to give the psychics anything to read about me through ordinary channels, the fact is that we all present a huge amount of information to one another. Clothing, posture, skin tone, body positions, body movement, body smell, breathing rates, and so on, all the time. There isn't any way to prevent that except during an interview by phone. Our physical presence is inescapably informative. And although I did not intend to permit any body movements or voice inflections that would give feedback, I felt it unlikely that I would have to be able to follow any plan as perfectly as I would have liked. Nevertheless, I intended to make it as tough as possible. As luck would have it, the first psychic I saw was wonderfully suited to my plans. She was past 60 and nearly blind. She couldn't hear very well either because she thought I was from London. I didn't disagree with her. I just sat there. To make my mind blank, I concentrated on her swollen ankles. She talked about this and that, particularly a few psychological comments, but nothing particularly specific. After about a half an hour of rambling, she suddenly said, "What on earth do you do for work?" with a sort of alarm in her voice. Immediately she said, "Don't tell me. Don't tell me. It's just that I can't put it together. I've never seen anything like this before." Then she told me what she was seeing. She saw me working in a room like a laundry with huge white blankets, and there were black snakes coiling in the blankets, except they weren't snakes. And she heard this terrible sound repeated over and over again, a kind of wow, wow. And she saw pictures going forward and backwards, and something about hats or high hats or old style furniture. This was what she couldn't put together, and she found it unpleasant, these sounds and snakes and things. She said, "You are the most peculiar person." I, of course, knew exactly what she was seeing. She was seeing the place I had been virtually living in for the last 2 weeks. the editing room where we ran the film back and forth to the accompaniment of those hideous sounds. The film was the great train robbery, and the actors all wore high hats. There was absolutely no way this little blind lady with swollen ankles could have known about that. I left the interview feeling odd. All my careful plans now seemed irrelevant. No matter how I might have failed to control my body movements, my verbalization and grunts, no matter how much she might have feigned blindness as she did a cold reading on me, I knew damned well I couldn't have conveyed to her the images of what an editing room looks like. Images she would misconstrue as a laundry with snakes. I hadn't tipped her off about that. It wasn't possible. And not many people in the world have ever seen an editing room. It wasn't common knowledge. So where had she gotten the information? I could think of two possibilities. One was that she had been informed. I had made my appointment by phone under a different name, but when I walked in the building, I might conceivably have been recognized by someone at the desk, and this person might have someone told the woman who I was that I had something to do with movies. There wasn't any phone in the psychic's room that I could see, but you never knew. Being informed would explain everything. The other possibility was that she was psychic and the phenomenon was real. We shall continue with Michael Crichton and the London astrologers tomorrow. However, it's time to bring it back by popular demand. Pissing in the Snow. Yes, by Mr. Vance Randolph. There he is. We haven't forgot about him. The name of this story is The Call to Preach. Told by Leo McKellips, Anderson, Missouri, May 1933. An old story known in many parts of Missouri and Kansas. One time there was a fella come walking into town, a-hollering how he's going to quit farming and preach the gospel. He was just a big country boy, all pecker and feet, the kind of a fella who couldn't find his ass with both hands in broad daylight. Anybody could see he didn't know enough to pour piss out of a boot, with directions printed on the heel. But he stood right up in meeting anyhow and told everybody he had the call to preach. I was a plowing in the South 40, he said, and all of a sudden there came a bolt of lightning and the loudest thunder you ever heard. It knocked me down on my knees and I prayed for a sign. Pretty soon I saw big smoke in the heavens in the shape of the letter P. I kept on praying. And then I seen the letter C. Them letters PC can't mean nothing but preach Christ. So that's what I aim to do. Some of the folks kind of grinned when they heard that, but everyone waited to see what the regular preacher thought about it. The preacher said right off that he don't doubt the young man's word, but a call to preach is a serious matter. And it's best not to do anything hasty. I'll have to take it up with the Lord in prayer, said he. So they all prayed a while, and then the preacher says, "Brother, the feeling of this congregation is that you ain't called to preach, because you have mistook the meaning of the signs. The letters PC mean plow corn. And I believe that's what you better do." says the preacher. So then every one of those old deacons said amen, and that was it. The big country boy grumbled, some because he couldn't get no license to preach. But the fellows down at the tavern gave him a few glasses of beer, and pretty soon he got to feeling better. That stuff about the letters in the sky is just made up tale, said he. I got a call to preach, all right, but it wouldn't do to tell them folks down at the church house. So then the fellows at the tavern gave him a lot more beer. And finally, one of them says, so what makes you think you're called to be a preacher? The country boy just grinned kind of foolish. Well, I got the biggest cock in the neighborhood, says he, and it's a terrible craving for fried chicken. The crowd all laughed when they heard that, but after the country boy had went home, they got to talking about it more serious. Book learning ain't everything, and neither is slick manners and fine clothes. If they give that big country boy a chance, maybe he'd make a good preacher sure enough. He's got a big prick, and he loves fried chicken. What can you say about that? I'm not going to give up on it because I'm just about done with it. I only got several pages left. Let's tear through this so we can concentrate on Mr. Larry Flint's hustler jokes. So anyway, for the new subscribers, adult joke book, although it should be, instead of naughty, should put lame adult joke book. All right, here we go. Huge guy, tiny girl. A huge guy and a tiny girl held their wedding. At the reception, a friend walked over to the guy and says, how in the world do you two have sex? Unperturbed, the big guy answers, I just sit on a chair. Naked, she sits on top of it, and I bob her up and down. His friend smiled and said, well, does that not sound bad at all? Yeah, it's like jerking off, the big guy said, only I have someone to talk to. There's only about one more day of this, and then I can forego this horse shite forever. I got a lot of good response from In Touch magazine. Can't show you the front because there's naked going on. And we were talking about my lesbo initiation. She was a straight arrow cock gobbler until a bi-girl porno fuck got her hot for female twat. Now it's by a woman named Susan Kraft. However, it's a dude writing this. Just the way he lays out the scenes. It's a dude. All right. So anyway, we left her when she was in the ladies' bathroom stall, and let's see, like that. I excused myself and hurried back to the women's restroom where I had frantically beat off twice, ignoring the fact there was another woman in the booth next to me who could obviously hear my fast, slippery sounds and my anxious, orgasmic snorts. I was amazed at myself. Why in the world had that suck sequence between two persons of my own sex turned me on? Suck sequence. Sounds like a punk band. I had never entertained any sexual ideas about women before. Was I some kind of latent lesbian? No, I knew I wasn't. I loved my husband in every way, and had always felt completely satisfied sexually. But maybe I was bisexual. So we got to get back with this tomorrow for the continuation of my Lesbo initiation from Touch magazine. We'll end it up another book that we're going to have to say goodbye to very soon. Letters to the Happy Hooker. An inquiry more than a hate letter or a fan letter, but here we go. Dear Ms. Hollander, do you like pornography, particularly the illustrated kind? My boyfriend and I like to lie in bed and read aloud and play with each other. It's a real turn on. He keeps his hand in my lap and just kids around, and I give his cock and balls a gentle going over. And when we're ready, when we can't stand it any longer, we try out one of the positions in the book. It keeps life interesting, and it's certainly a lot more fun than watching TV. One of the couples we hang out with thinks it's artificial stimulation, and they don't approve. I say that anything that helps keep your sex life active and different is a good thing. What do you think? Sincerely, name withheld, Woodstock, New York. She's another one probably still waiting on an answer. It's another groovy day. We're all above ground. Come on, let's get stuff done. Consequential stuff. Get your ass out of that bed. Let's do things. Let's do important things. Remember, always be nice until it's time not to be nice. Be kind to animals. Discipline equals freedom. Anyone saying it along with me? Never complain. Never explain. So, for Mr. and Ms. America, all ships at sea, all sides, everywhere. This is your favorite correspondent, hand delivering to you another groovy morning report for the new subscribers. Thank you. Always looking for more. Come on and join our little wonderful dysfunctional family of groovy people who wander the earth and get into adventures. So I must take my leave of you now. Remember, be positive, ban negativity from your mind, and get shit done. Have a great day, everyone.